Hello everyone, welcome to Redbus TS channel. In this video, we look at the latest F1 visa proposed rule that was published in Federal Register yesterday. We look at what are the major changes in this, and we look at the kind of impact it would have on the current and future F1 students, and go over this. So this is what we'll cover in this video. We look at the high-level background, we look at the summary of the key changes and the kind of impact it will have, and what are the next step we can expect. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe for getting regular updates. So what's the news, right? Or why are we doing this video, right? So if you see on the screen, this is the Federal Register where we can see the publication of the proposed rule, which is to establish a fixed time period for F1 students and FJ and all of this, right? So this is what we will cover in the next sections. So just to give you a background before we get started is, for those of you who are watching this for the first time, if you don't understand what is D/S or duration of status. So what happens is when you enter the US and F1, or FJ or I visa, what you're given is an admit until that indicates a D/S, which means a duration of status. What it means is that there is no technical end date that you get, but you can stay in the country as long as you're maintaining the status, essentially, enrolling in courses, going to school, all of these things, right? So that's the fundamental idea behind duration of status. The main thing Trump administration want to do is change this. And this is not the first time they are doing this, right? So if you look at their first term, during the tail end of their first term, what they did was, they published a similar rule with a lot more restrictions in it by indicating even countries and all sorts of things, right? Around in September of 2020 is when they did this and they lost the election, right? And subsequently, during the comment period, there were about 32,000 comments that came in the 30 period, and 99% of them opposed it again. This is what the Biden administration published. Telling that there is a lot of opposition for this, and that's how they had to basically withdraw the rule. So this is the background. So what they published now is essentially a flavor of that with a lot more changes and additions, right? So that's what they've been that's what Trump has just done, right? Again, just important note, you see all these clickbait titles that this ending, that's ending, but just to clarify for everybody, this is in the proposed rule stage. What it means that it is not final. It is essentially a text that is published for the public to read and review and give comments, so that they will read this and then make it final. So things may change completely different from what you see now, or even they may withdraw rules. So we don't know. That's what has happened last time. So that's the fundamental thing you need to remember. So don't be confused by all these media hyping all these things all over the place. So just let's start looking at the summary of the key changes. Just to give you a perspective, you can read the regulation of the title. The main idea is to establish a fixed time period for admission for academic students, exchange visitors, and foreign media. So that's what the crux of the title is. It was published yesterday, which is August 28th, 2025, and it's in a proposed rule stage and under notice of proposed rule making. What it means is it's a stage in the federal rule making. During this stage is when you get comments from the public, and then they would actually change that. So that's what they'll do in this period, right? The comment period is about 30 days, and for 60 days for Paper Reduction Act. You can submit comments electronically during this period. That's what the idea is. Now, the first and the foremost one is, or the biggest one rather, of the whole thing is removal of the duration of status for FJ and I visa holders, right? So what it tells is, as per the current process, you get duration of status in the I-94. Essentially, what they're going to do is they will remove this and they will put in a fixed period of time, which is until the period, the program end date, which is specified in the I-20, or up to a maximum of 4 years. So that's what they're going to do, right? So this is the proposed change. And why they're doing it, right? Again, the Trump administration always tries to pull in statistics about national security and try to highlight that X number of people have been stuck for so many years. All of these, they say about over 1 million students are there, and a certain number of them still been since 2000. So all these sorts of things, they give a rationale around that they're doing it for national security and to ensure that there's compliance. So the impact for this is essentially, because there is no duration of status, now the student has to basically ensure that once they reach the 94 end date, they have to exit the country or apply for an extension of status, extension of stay by providing biometrics. So this is the impact of this big change, right? Now the admission period, right? How long they'll get this is about usually up to 4 years. So the important thing to note is the program duration that is listed in I-20. So usually it's about 2 years, right? So most of the programs, so you'll get for that. So you may not even get for the INA, for the OPT and STEM OPT, all these sorts of things, right? So you may have to apply for extension of status. So they're also reducing the grace period from the current 60-day period to 30-day period. So that's what they're doing. And if you're enrolling in an English language program, you're going to get a maximum of 2 years. This includes breaks and vacations. Yeah, so there's another change as well that we're saying. The other one is for if you're an I-visa holder. In the past it was different. Now they want to limit it to 240 days, and then subsequently you have to applying for extension of status. And again, this they say that if you're from certain restricted countries, you may get less. It's up to discretion. So there are some things around this as well. So that's what they're doing there. And in terms of extension of stay, basically EOS, what you need to do is you need to basically submit an application with USCIS, right? And they may not really create a new forms. You can use I-539 forms. What they say is they probably do some changes to that, right? That's what they're trying to do. And when you go for the apply for extension of status, you will also need to give biometrics for that. So what they say is this for extra vetting and ensure that you're compliant and all sorts of things, right? I don't know. This is something that is biometrics. Giving biometrics has been a thing that happened during Trump administration first term. Now they're doing it for many other things as well, even though it's this is something they do at the visa stamping. Again, this is a proposed regulation, right? And again, they may also ask for financial support documents, because so that you have enough money to support your rest of the things, right? Like if let's say you're applying for another program, or so that you also produce financial documents for that. So this is similar to what you would produce when you go for visa stamping, right? Also, there are tons of restrictions as part of this, right? The one of the biggest ones, or rather one, is you can't transfer the programs within the first year, right? Myself, I transferred school in the first year, which was a big thing for me, because imagine you go to your school and you don't like it, some changes happen, then it's something you want to change. But now with this change, they're saying you cannot transfer unless there are exceptions and you need approval from SCVP, right? The second one is you can't change education objectives in the first year, right? What they mean by that is you can't change the education level, meaning from bachelor's to master's or master's to PhD, or they can't change the program, or you can't change the program type also from non-degree to degree. All of these until end of the first year. Again, you can get exceptions if it's authorized by CVP, but again, these are subjective, right? So we don't know what the lessons and all sorts of things, right? And also, if you're a graduate student, you can't change the program anytime during the entire course, right? This is like a very, very big thing, actually, frankly, so imagine you go for a program in computer science, you don't like that, you want to change to another program which is in information systems, whatever. You can't do that anymore, and that's what the text reads. Maybe they'll clarify that in after the comments, but that's what it reads on the face, right? And also, when you complete a degree, you can't really enroll in the same program level. Like for example, if you do a master's in computer science, then you can't go to an MBA, because that's the same level. Your progression has to be in a higher level, right? If you're in bachelor's, you can't go to a bachelor's degree again. You have to go to master's. So this also is kind of crazy, right? So this is something also you can't do that. That's what they're saying, right? So also for current students who are already in the US, this will apply them and impact them, right? What they do is for current FJN students, they will be transitioned to a fixed duration until the end of the program, right? So their end of the duration will be until end of the program as on their I-20, or a maximum of 4 years. Again, it's the same thing that they will do, similar to others. So you have to work with your DSO and get this sorted out, right? Again, these are actual screenshots of the rules, right? Striking, we just highlighted this. I'm going to put a link in the description of the article. You can look at these in detail, but just highlighting that, right? That not 4 years. And so this is actually the regulation text from the Federal Register, So these are the interpretation, the actual text that's on that, right? I'll let you read that in detail, right? So again, the impact, right? It's a huge impact. Whatever changes that are proposed, it's going to really discourage F1s to international students to come into the US. The program will become less competitive because of all these restrictions. You need to track I-94 dates. You need to apply for extension, for OPT, STEM extension, or all of these things, right? STEM OPT. It gets a lot of cost, a lot of uncertainty, the huge processing times with USCIS. And if you're a PhD program student, forget it. You are usually programs last for 5 years. Now you're going to wait for 4 years. what happens if your visa get rejected, right? So that's an uncertainty as well, right? And restrictions and changes to the program is also not helpful. When you go there, you don't like the school, you want to change, you can't do that. All these transfers also not possible. So again, there are so many unknowns with these scenarios that can come up with this, right? So all of these are not going to really help or encourage students to apply to study in the US, right? So I'm sure this will be addressed. There'll be like tons of comments that will come in to change some of these. So we'll have to see what will come out of the final rule and how the comments will pan out. So yeah, definitely this is going to be having a huge impact on the future of F1 program in the US, right? F1J. So in terms of next steps, they will accept comments for the next 30 days until September 29th. For Paper Reduction Act, it will be 60 days, right? So they'll review all the comments and then they'll publish the final regulation. So yeah, we'll have to see when the final regulation, what will come out. So it may happen this end of this year or maybe early next year. So we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So that's what, folks. So again, it's really, really huge news. Would love to hear what your comments are on this, and what the future looks like. So do subscribe for getting regular bits. Thank you for watching and thank you for your time.